Hey everyone, welcome back to Undertale, released in 2015 and mostly developed by Toby Fox. Where we last left off, we arrived at Snowdin Town, and this is where we're picking back up. The first thing I do is inventory all of my weapons because I won't be able to use them and I won't be attacking anytime soon. So this is the first shop of the entire game. There are 4 of them in total. First thing I do is get some armor because I'm gonna need it from now on, along with the healing item. Now, what I mentioned before is you can't actually sell anything. There's only one store out of all 4 that allows you to do that, and that's a pretty interesting thing. In fact, it's justified in-game, as you can see right now. Now, even if you can't sell anything for the moment, we're not gonna see that other store in this episode. I don't know if we'll see it next episode, but the stores are useful when it comes to learning the lore of the game. So you can talk to the vendors, and you get some pretty cool information. So that's one thing. Again, that's one thing I really liked about Undertale. The lore, much of the lore, is explored outside of the main game. If you simply go straight through the fastest possible, you're going to skip through a lot of things. But the thing is, those things are not exactly essential to the experience, but learning about them adds a whole lot to the world and to the story as a whole. This is a lesser example, but there's a lot of lore that's explored in Snowdin Town. In fact, that's much of what I'll be doing. I'll be looking through most of the city to see just what exactly is worth checking out or not, which took a lot longer than I expected. This episode lasts 40 minutes or so. I didn't expect it to last that long. Hopefully the next one doesn't last too long, but knowing my luck, it's probably gonna... Oh yeah, almost done, so I'm gonna leave right now. And right after that, I'm going into the inn. I think that's the only... I think it's the only one of 2 places in the entire game where you can actually sleep. I'm not exactly sure on that. I better be sure to check that when I keep recording. But yeah, what's special about this inn is that if you sleep there, you can recover more than your maximum health. The thing is, I won't be able to enjoy the effects of that because I had to restart multiple times to do a specific thing. I don't remember what exactly. I'll see when I get there. Oh. Yeah, what's cool about this is that the fucking snores, they make the melody of the game over theme. In fact, that brings me to a pretty big part of the soundtrack of Undertale, but I think I'll get to that later at a specific point. Because otherwise I won't have much to talk about here. Or there, actually. Oh. And originally on my first playthrough I didn't go sleep there because it cost 80 fucking G. But she just pays your money back. Fucking. Alright, so I save again and I cut for the first time. I don't remember exactly what I was doing. Oh. I think it was related to the boss fight we're going to have very soon. Okay, this is the tunnel. This allows you to get to one bit of the town to the other quickly because it's a pretty long town. So walking all the way back and forth, it takes some time. Also, they celebrate Christmas. More on that later. Oh, here's another character we're going to see later. Their name is Monster Kid, again, gender and sex unspecified. I see a guy in there, but I don't know, life's what you make it and shit. Oh yeah, where am I going? Oh yeah. Right, I was pretty much hesitating there. So here's Grillby's. It's a restaurant out there in Snowdin Town. And the interesting thing is that there are the dogs there. I'm gonna jump ahead a bit. See, you have the option to kill monsters. I think that was already kind of clear. What I saw somewhere on the internet, because I wasn't enough of a sadistic a sadistic asshole to do it myself. Also because I didn't want to ruin my save. Actually, the dialogue of these dogs changes depending on who is left, I believe. I don't know if it changes with every single combination of the those five dogs. Wouldn't know if one lives or one dies. But I don't know if you have one of them left. The dialogue is gonna change. So if you're really interested, be sure to check out for that. Also, I spent a few times. Yeah, I spent some time focusing on the dog's bark because it's adorable and shit. I was shitting myself real hard when I saw that bit of dialogue, not dialogue, narration, because in something else I did that joke multiple times, like playing a game against yourself and losing. So the coincidence kind of surprised me, but then again, I think a lot of people probably already came up with that one before. Oh shit, I completely skipped over it. Yeah, doesn't that bird fucker tell you about Undyne? Yeah. Also the guy next to it, that's the one that put that fucking fishing rod all the way back in Snowdin Forest. Also he's your cool horse with a jacket and shades. Fucking local culture, goddamn fucking hipster horse. Now that I'm out, oh yeah, check out this bear who talks about politics. No kidding. Fish lady about it. Yeah. At that point, I go. Those two characters are pretty much not really important at all, so I keep going up there. I don't know why I decided to check out those little rocks. Also, if you knock on the door, if you go over to the door right there, someone will be like, wow, what a beautiful knock, I better not answer so I can hear it again. Then you can just keep knocking and the dude will be like, ah, like he's fucking having an orgasm. Also, that's Ice Wolf, he's throwing blocks of ice. Where does it go? You're gonna see. Now that shit, I didn't plan for it. I didn't plan for it at all. I believe... Okay, here's one thing. People who already played the game must know about this, but there's a little sort of bug concerning a specific system file of Undertale, which is located on your computer. There's a value called fun, and the thing is, it's supposed to be in uppercase instead of lowercase. The thing is, it's in lowercase. So when I did some editing, since I'm doing this series for reviewing purposes also, I decided to edit it a few times. I don't remember what exactly Well, at one point I edited it so that the F in fun could be uppercase, so I'm thinking that this is a consequence of that, because normally this is supposed to happen at random. That phone call. Oh, here's something important. I'll get back to the phone call later. This is really important. It's about monster funerals. When they die, they turn into dust. That's going to come back later in the game, for sure. This is a prime example of the game introducing the lore. Lore that isn't necessarily essential or imperative to note so as to get the most out of the game, but it's definitely something that adds a lot of depth to specific parts that you're going to see later. In fact, most of this room talks a lot about the has some important information about it. Now that book isn't important at all, but it's got a funny joke, I guess. It's all subjective anyway. Subjective. Because you're made of magic. Oh yeah, monsters are made of magic. Also, they all got souls though. It's defensive. Cruel. Yeah, that's another important thing. Monsters can be affected by people who intend to kill. That's going to come back much later on in this video series, but it's an important thing to know about in general. Important but not essential. Right, this is just more about the when the monsters started moving along the underground after they got imprisoned there. They went from home to new home, and Snowdin Town is one of the town that they passed through before reaching that place. The absolute nature of soil is unknown. Yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing I originally didn't like about the premise of Undertale, because at first I thought it was some. At first I thought the whole humans and monsters thing was just another one of those "oh, humanity is terrible" and shit kind of plot lines, and by that point it's been a. How do I put it simply? Well, it's been a while since I actually thought that kind of story was actually good, but thankfully Undertale picks way fucking back up. It's really surprising. Alright, so I'm going to make... Yeah, I'm making another cut right here, but I forgot what that first cut was about. Yeah, but that second cut was so I could equip the manly bandana. It's also related to something that's going to pop up in like a few minutes. Alright, what did I inventory? I inventoried my bandage, that's right. So yeah, the no items run is ruined. Some dialogue changes at the end if you have no, if you didn't change equipment at all, I believe. But that's not going to happen. You know, watching this, that makes me think about the way that, that makes me think about Papyrus's characterization. The thing about Undertale is that many of the major NPCs, as I mentioned before, start off as your enemy, but after you face them or after a specific thing, they become your friend. And during this process, there is some sort of evolution in their character. And the more I think about it, that doesn't seem to exactly happen. Oh, I gotta mention this. The fucking description says he likes to say yeah heh heh, and he says that. And it's fucking. Anyways, shit, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I remember why I did that second cut. The thing is, you can date Papyrus after this boss fight. So I wanted to make sure I did that, instead of having just a hangout. So what you gotta do is flirt with him, and then the rest takes care of itself. Yeah, after that you gotta spare him. Oh yeah, what I was getting at is that, while there's some sort of character evolution in some of the other major NPCs, it doesn't really feel like there's that same progression with Papyrus. His character kind of remains the same. It's I'm not exactly sure how to put it. Oh, another thing before I continue. Your heart turned dark blue. What this means is that this completely changes the mechanics of the battle screen. This is one of multiple changes. One that happens with each boss, I believe. Each major boss fight. Most of them, either way. So here, instead of floating around like a shmup, it's more like a platformer. And this is one of those moments that really do change your perception of the game a bit, because it was honestly really interesting to see such a change in the gameplay, like out of nowhere, and to see it introduced this simply. It's very simple, but Toby managed to do something interesting with it. Right, what was I getting at? I don't really feel much of a character evolution in Papyrus. He was, at least not an evolution in the character himself, but an evolution in what we learn about him. Because at first you think, wow, he's classic. He's classic, he's so full of himself, and it's all played for laughs. But then you learn he's actually a really cool person. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So, so it kind of, gives out a wrong idea of what much of the major NPC encounters are going to be like. Nevertheless, Papyrus is cool. Second best Undertale character. Second best? Second best. Right, now about the music of Undertale. Here's some interesting things about it. What you might have already noticed listening to the soundtrack in the first 2 episodes. The thing is that a lot of melodies are reoccurring in the soundtrack. The correct term is leitmotif, but I fucking hate that word. Not the word itself, just the way a lot of people use it. I don't know. I have this thing where native English speakers say non-English things, and it sometimes bothers me. But you know, that's petty as shit. So yeah, there are a lot of reoccurring melodies. In fact, this is just one example of many. Bone Trazzle takes up the melody of Nya, which is Papyrus' theme, original theme. But there was also Home, which took the melody of Once Upon a Time, likewise with Home music box. Are there any other example? Oh yeah, Snowdin Town does take up the melody of Snowy. There are a lot of examples like this. I can pretty much say that half of the soundtrack of Undertale is in the other half. It gets absolutely insane as the game goes on. In fact, what makes that even more intense is that there are at least almost 100 songs in Undertale. At least if you just count those in the soundtrack. There are technically 101 songs in the OST that you can buy, but 2 of them don't show up in the game at all. Well, I know one for sure doesn't. The other, I don't know. I never heard it in the game before, so I'm pretty sure it doesn't appear there. Oh, that's me getting fucked up. Again, stress induced by the fact that I'm recording it. I really don't want to see how that's going to turn out in the later stages of the game, because it does get fairly difficult if you don't pay attention, and if you don't keep your cool. Anyway, there are a few more songs that are that appear in the game that don't appear in the soundtrack. For instance, the Wrong Number song, I added that to currently playing as a joke because it doesn't appear in the game. It doesn't appear in the soundtrack itself, and that's just one of multiple instances. In fact, some of the songs are changed pitches. The pitch is different from the game. When you compare the game version to the soundtrack iteration. What was one? Oh, Fallen Down. That's an example. The pitch changes multiple times whenever it appears, and I believe the first time it shows up, it isn't the same pitch as the version in the soundtrack, but I could be wrong. Actually, what's oh yeah, that's his special attack, but Toby fucks everything up for him. That's the second time I believe we saw him. We're gonna see him a bunch of times also. Let me count. I don't have much to do right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know, 4 or 5 times. I think you see him 4 or 5 times overall. Oh, that next attack is cool as shit though. It starts off normally, but oh, actually, I should mention that type of gameplay. This isn't going to be the last time your heart is going to turn blue, but that next cool dude. That next time is going to be much later on. Again, it's a lot of teams. Oh, it took me multiple playthroughs to realize what the fuck you're supposed to do on here. You're supposed to hold the button jump. Just imagine fucking Eliza jumping all the way in the air. Ooh! I absolutely didn't realize that's what you needed to do to dodge those attacks. Every single time before, I was just tanking it and taking advantage of the... Oh, I thought someone was here for a moment. All I did was take advantage of the invincibility you get when you get hit. So yeah, all you gotta do here is outlast. All you gotta do here is survive, and after a while Papyrus spares you. Here's some more dialogue from him. Does he say anything important? He's gonna say something important, I know for sure, but I don't know about the rest. Yeah, it's not that Papyrus's character progresses. It's that you learn more about him. That's really, which is different from the other characters. Oh yeah. I don't know what happens if you're all, nah, he's not cool, I'm gonna ditch him. But either way, you gotta be, as far as I know, gotta admit that I don't even fucking care that this was a reference to the friend zone. That was a fucking good one. Anyways, I believe you gotta be friends with him if you want to get the best ending of Undertale. That's what I did either way. And I know for sure that you gotta befriend 2 other characters to be able to get there, so I can only imagine that you gotta do the same thing with Papyrus. Oh, he was talking about the barrier just a few moments ago. And here he is going to talk about the king for a bit. Soul power, yeah. Yeah, he basically expands a bit on what exactly is going on in the underground. Because, you know, the monsters aren't just going to stay there forever. Oh yeah, some gratuitous pausing. Yeah. Mr. Dreamer. Yeah, so he just talks about the king for a bit. Either way, I'm befriending him, so I'm going to go on it. The rest of the episode is going to be me going on a date with him, and also hanging out with Sans. Honestly, this game gives you a lot of opportunities not to like it, because if you don't like Papyrus, to get the best ending, you're going to have to see him some more. And yeah, honestly, this isn't the part of the way I see it. The way I see it, this game is divided in like 2 big sections. One is the the first section gives you the opportunity to determine what your character is going to be. That's where you can put it in, that's where you can do a lot of actions that have consequences. And the second section of the game is basically shows the consequences of your actions. That's a vague way to put it. So the game during this first section gives you a lot of opportunities not to like it. And this isn't, this part of the game honestly isn't the best part of this first section. This first half, I guess I could say. The best part of it is going to be next episode. It's going to begin next episode, and I do believe it's the longest part of this first half. So all I'm doing for the moment is to hang around Sans and Papyrus's house. We've got some some funny dialogue, hardy har har. Again, if you don't like it, you're not going to like this section at all. Is there anything interesting? I know there is some there's some spare change in the couch. How much is it? Oh shit, 20G. Yeah, I was just checking my money there. Take a good listen at that song, it's going to pop up later. No kidding. MTT. Yeah, MTT is going to show up later also. It's pretty interesting how the how Undertale introduces a bunch of things that, you know, are already given for the monsters, but you got no idea what they're talking about. Then when you finish the game, you already know about all this, so you go through it again and you're like, oh, okay, that's what he was talking about. So that's one example, the MTT thing. Yeah, what's important in life is boners. Man, to think I would be the one to say that. Oh yeah, I found that funny. Eliza just taking a look at everything and then talking to Papyrus, who then welcomes you, like 5 minutes in. Yeah, Keisha. Keisha is going to actually appear a bit later, but I don't know if I'm going to come upon it. If I'm going to seek it out, rather. Yeah, just guess what's in the fridge. Just guess. Yeah, it's spaghetti. Fuck, I said that too soon. I know too much about this game. I played it too many times. I already know what to expect, so I'm just going too far ahead. Yeah, I checked the trash twice because I don't know when, but at some point Papyrus just tells you you have visited the trash can next time you check it. Maybe it's after the date. Oh yeah, that was the dog again. And here's just Sans. Yeah, that's Sans's room. You cannot get to it. You cannot get to it. At least not this early on in the game. There's a way to get there. Don't worry, I'm gonna show it to you. But you're gonna have to wait, like a lot of things in Undertale. Yeah, here's another little hidden thing in Undertale which you really gotta seek out to find. So after you're done with all this, you gotta check Papyrus's room. And guess what you're gonna do with it? Oh, it's a real doozy. Yeah, go inside. Yeah, just guess what you're going to do in it. Look at more shit! For me it was yesterday. Actually it was multiple days before. When did I record this footage? I think I recorded it last week. Maybe it was last week. Oh yeah, highway cars. Keep an eye out for that. That also appears later. Action figure. Man, it's been so long. Oh, actually he's going to mention something interesting also. Santa. Yeah, there's a Santa in the underground. Likewise, remember that. Oh, did he say Anton retrieved it from the bay? Yeah, there's a lot of there. You're going to see what exactly you're going to see that next episode, I think. Either it's next episode, either it's the episode after that. But you're going to see what exactly he means by the bay. There are a lot of things. What's also interesting is how the monsters find shit from the humans and then discern who they are. Because by this point it's been a long while since that war between humans and monsters. So that's another interesting thing about the lore of the game. Something which, again, I must reiterate for the fucking millionth time, is not essential to the experience, but which is very interesting nevertheless. Also, there's a monster internet. I actually had an argument with a friend of mine over something related to the monster internet. Relating to, what was it? Yeah, I remember what it relates to. It's something none of you would understand if you haven't finished the game. But yeah, it concerned the monster internet, and we managed to figure out through some digging through the information of the game that the monster internet is different from the human internet. We actually had a bit of a discussion regarding whether or not monsters could access the human internet from the underground, since the barrier was presumably erected before erected before there was such a thing as an internet, because the pictures in the intro don't exactly bring up some fantasy shit instead of a modern times, contemporary times thing like 2000s. Right. So this is the day with Papyrus. Honestly, I can't say that much about it since it's kind of self-explanatory. Honestly, it's self-explanatory. What you see it was what you get. So instead of talking about that, instead I'm going to talk about the music of Undertale some more. I mentioned that a lot of melodies are reoccurring in the... Oh, actually! Yeah, that's why I did a cut and reset. Because I was under the impression that that I needed to have something equipped for this day to escalate, because you noticed you're wearing clothing, and that you've been wearing clothing. Yeah, if you like Papyrus, this date is great. I think it's great. But if you don't like him, well, you know. So yeah, I was under the pressure that I had to wear something aside from the bandage. Could have been wearing the ribbon, but the bandana gives that more defense. Now, what I was getting at, I've mentioned that there are many reoccurring melodies in Undertale. This is another instance with the dating fight and dating start. This is actually a characteristic that is very prevalent in the music for Homestuck. That was one of the big characteristics of it. The other characteristic was its diversity. There was a lot of shit. There was chiptune, modern classical, somewhat, electronic, rock, just about a lot of things. And the same goes for that of Undertale. The difference with the main difference though, is that just about every song in the soundtrack for Undertale appears in the game. Almost every song has a purpose and a reason for it. And I can't say, no one can say the same for Homestuck, because much of the music that is made for it doesn't appear in the webcomic itself. It's supposed to be like something to play as you read it, because it's a webcomic, but that's honestly some pretty wishful thinking. Much of the music of Homestuck is really unmemorable. It's not necessarily bad, but it's not memorable. I can count, if I'm to just consider songs that I think are a 10 out of 10, there are maybe, I could count them on, I could count them with the fingers on my hands. Which doesn't exactly say a lot when there are hundreds of songs made for it. Oh, well, technically, one of the albums that made for Homestuck, done by a musician named Michael Guy Bowman, that guy is great. Check out his Bandcamp, he's fucking incredible. The album that he did for Homestuck named Mobius Strip and Hadron Collido is fucking incredible. It stands leagues beyond any other release done by the music team. But that's the one exception. And I'd go so far as to say it's a Michael Guy Bowman work instead of a Homestuck work. Because it's not that related to the music in itself, though there are some references to Homestuck. Kinda like Undertale, but though it's more overt in Mobius Strip and Hadron Collido. Yeah, so that's another thing that Undertale beats out Homestuck. That Undertale beats out of Homestuck in. The music is a lot better, it's a lot more concise, it's a lot better overall, and it's got a lot more purpose. A lot of the songs in the Homestuck repertoire. Imagine some good quote-unquote shit right there. So a lot of the stuff in the Homestuck repertoire doesn't really have a purpose to it. It's just some general accompaniment. General? I meant generic. Ooh. Burned, whatever. Don't fucking give a shit about Tumblr memes. Alright, so... Oh yeah, the date ended. Yes. Yeah. Just Sans cannot reciprocate the feelings that Eliza or the fallen child or you may have. Quite a touching love story right there. Oh yeah, I might have mentioned that in passing, but if you don't flirt with him, you just have a hangout with him. But I don't know what that, what are the bigger differences between the date and the hangout. I think it's just, I don't know. I'm not interested enough to find out. As interesting as Undertale is when it comes to seeing the various little changes you can make, the various changes in between playthroughs, the various little details, I already played it too many times for me to truly enjoy that. And unfortunately, considering how popular the game got, I don't think a lot of people are going to be able to enjoy the game that way, because that's really the way you gotta enjoy it. You gotta know the least about it as possible if you really want to have a good chance of liking it. Now, another reason I did the Papyrus date is because you get his fucking phone number. If you like Papyrus, you're in fucking luck. Because now that you got Papyrus's phone number, you can call him almost any time. He's got dialogue for tons of rooms in the game. Tons of them. It's amazing how much fucking dialogue that he gets. I'm not going to check his dialogue. In fact, I never checked that much of his dialogue because going through every room is something I simply don't have much the dedication for. No matter if it's in the context of this video series or if it's out just in the context of simply me playing the game for fun. Because I'm a very busy man. Alright, so now that this is done, I save again because I'm fucking paranoid. Oh shit, the screen turned black again. I keep forgetting my screen goes into my screensaver. And so what did I do? Yeah, I must have bought another healing item. Yeah, money really isn't that much of an issue. It's really not going to be an issue when I get to that same place that allows you to sell items. You're gonna see why. So we're gonna pass through here. Normally this is the way to continue on in the game, but I'm actually gonna stop at one in the room right after that for some more dialogue. And because this actually gives you a chance to hang out with Sans. And honestly, if I don't hang out with Sans, this entire journey is for nothing. Oh yeah, it also introduces the Echo Flowers, something that is only characteristic of this part of the underground. Yeah, here's yeah, if you check the Echo Flower, yeah, I think you can piece together what just happened. Yeah, so it introduces the Echo Flowers, which are only characteristic of this part of the underground. They aren't exactly that plot critical, aside from the sequence that's going to come very soon. Also, that's Monster Kid again. Aside from the sequence that's going to come very soon. Other than that, the Echo Flowers aren't that important. They completely disappear after this part of the game. Also, notice there's water. Just before there was snow. It's getting warmer. You're getting closer and closer to the center of the earth. Oh, classic Sans. He goes the other way. It's fucking shortcut to Grillby's. I'm having a real coughing fit today. I don't see why. Man, I'm glad that I got to recording this episode actually, because I'm getting my fucking third molars removed this weekend. Which is probably going to prevent me from recording anything. So I'm glad I managed to get to this episode before I'm presumably forced to have a small break in my uploading rate. Alright, so it's just burger or fries. Sans being the classic Joker that he is. Hey, I wonder if you kill all the dogs and you go on. Then again, would you be able to go out to hang out with Sans if you killed the dogs? I wonder. Man, sounds like good questions, but I don't have the time to answer them. Oh, he mentioned Papyrus's costume. One thing I would have noted in episode 2, but which I didn't, is that Papyrus's costume is actually based on an enemy in Earthbound. A lot of people make a lot of people compare Undertale to Earthbound. I'm not one of those people since I didn't play Earthbound. And that's my loss, really. I gotta play that game all the way through. But yeah, it's based on an enemy in Earthbound. I don't remember the name, but I know for sure that it's based on the costume of an enemy from Earthbound. So here Sans tells the story of how fucking dedicated Papyrus is. Yeah, that's cool, because it's fucking midnight. Yeah, the more you learn about Papyrus, the more you learn about his character. It's not that he has much of an evolution. as you see him, the way, as the game goes on. Oh, here's where, this is the important thing I was talking about. See, this is a dramatic change of mood. Everything was like fucking peachy as shit, and all played for laughs, and then suddenly, Sans mentions a talking flower, and then he just does a, and then you'd think he'd talk about Flowey, considering the yellow, but then he talks about the echo flowers. Yeah, so, again, that's a sudden change of mood, and suddenly it goes all the way back to, completely back to normal. Yeah, even if he isn't specifically referring to Flowey, it really brings the, tension back. And when you're on edge for almost the entirety of this part of the game, the part that isn't serious as shit, that brings the tension back, basically. I'm just repeating myself. So now that this is done, I could I go back to the dog. Great dog. So now that this is done, I can finally get back to... Why the hell am I going back? Oh yeah, it must be... Oh yeah, I'm not saving in Snowdin Town, I'm saving in the... back in Waterfall. Because there's a save point there. Yeah, so now that I got that done, I'm finally able to save and quit the game. And honestly surprised me that it ended up lasting this long. This episode, I mean. Considering the next big... the next big dungeon of the game is... Considering the next big dungeon of the game is actually pretty damn long, I'm not sure if it's going to last 40 minutes also. Honestly, I'm kind of convinced it's going to last more than 2 episodes. Either way, this was Undertale, released in 2015 for the PC, mostly developed by Toby Fox. I'll see you guys later when we get to Waterfall.